When you don't let go and forgive, those people are living in your head, in your car, in your bed, at your job, in the bathtub, at the gym. Those people and situations are living with you always, right? We talk a lot about letting go. I have a whole series on letting go. But I don't think you realize, you think that you're doing yourself this solid favor, right? You're like, if I let this go, I'm permissing it. If I forgive it, I'm permissing it. Okay. If you don't let it go, you're the only one suffering. You're the only one suffering. No one's losing sleep at 2 a.m. No one's losing sleep at 10 a.m. You're not anybody's responsibility to try to fix, right? And here's the thing, and I speak from experience, by the way. I did this with my dad. I did this with many people in my life, where you have to accept things as they are, which we've talked about before. But you don't realize that when you because it's your ego. By the way, FYI, watch the Ego Death series. I'll have it here in one of these little cards up here. But my goodness, your ego is what's not letting go, right? Because again, you think you're protecting yourself, but you're really imprisoning yourself. So when you let something go, now, if you don't want to have a relationship with that person, you don't have to, right? But stop waiting for their accountability to be healed. Don't do that. You could say, listen, if they can't take accountability, I'm not going to have a relationship with them. That's fine. But don't be like, well, I can't heal unless they have accountability. They may never give you. My dad never gave me accountability. He never was going to. He didn't with my sister. He didn't with me. I mean, it just is what it is. But if we both waited for him to give us this accountability, well, he's been gone since 2001. We'd still be waiting, and we'd still be miserable living with the whys. But the reality is when we let it go, and I forgave him a long time ago, even before I knew it was a thing, because it was just too much to carry that anger and that hurt and that frustration, and that it was just not a good place to live. And when you don't release it, and listen, I get it. You're hurt. I understand it. I validate it. But you're hurting yourself more. So that initial trauma, that initial suffering that initial thing was not your issue. The continual suffering that you do by keep replaying the story without accepting it for as it is, and then just going, okay, unfortunately, I can't have a relationship with this person. And you're literally letting it go. That's not, it's you, in your mind, you think that that's permissing. Well, I call it freedom, because before I did that, I wasn't sure I even wanted to be on this planet. All right. When I was able to release him, the stuff with him, there was stuff with, my siblings, so many things in life, so many different traumas and levels. And, when I was able to let that go, fully let it go, I fully have let it go. I'm not stressed about it. They could all appear right now and I would still be fine. I wouldn't be triggered. I'd be fine. Okay. And it's a freedom. I don't think you're giving yourself the benefit to understand how free you are when you forgive. When you release and let it go, there is this freedom and this power that comes rushing back to you. Because right now, by you holding grudges and all of that stuff and waiting for things to be just right, you don't have power. You think you have power. You don't. It's heavy. It's like you're the one that's sitting there at 2:00 in the morning, or you're getting upset and it's Mother's Day and you're upset with mom. And okay, well, you have the power to embrace this freedom. You have the power to embrace this freedom, but you have to be willing to let down your ego. It is your ego. We know it's a trauma response. I understand, but it's also your ego. Your ego is the same ego that wants to have the last word, that wants to be understood, that wants to be heard, that doesn't want to be the villain, that doesn't want to disappoint. That's your ego. Your ego is like, well, why aren't these people doing this? And they should do it this way. That's your ego. But the amount of power I got back when I let all that stuff go, and literally have forgiven everybody. I haven't picked up the phone and been like, I forgive you. It doesn't bother me. I'm not triggered by it. No. And that means no one can hold it over my head either, right? Think about this. Let's say you did something, I don't know, you and a friend did something, your friend's not with you anymore, you're both a little shady, and you haven't let it go. Well, somebody could possibly hold it over your head too, right? Like your friend could be like, well, I'm going to tell the world that you robbed this liquor store. I don't know. Okay, well, own your stuff. See, when you're you got to own your stuff. If you did it, you did it. If you said it, you said it. You learn from it. You don't carry regrets. Right? But by having the power of the release, the literal amount of stress relief that goes away is incredible. I understand it's not a fast process. I understand you got to get yourself to the point, but stop waiting to feel like it, because it'll never be what you want it to be anyway. Even if my dad said to me, I'm sorry for the molestation, I couldn't help myself, and okay, whatever the case may be, it may have never been good enough for me. It may have been like, well, that still doesn't make sense. Like, then you start moving the goalposts back, right? You go, okay, well, I want the accountability. Somebody gives you the accountability and you're like, not like that. I don't. That doesn't make sense to me. Well, they gave you the truth, their truth, and you didn't like it. So you're waiting for something that you think is going to make you feel better, that's going to validate you, but you know that you being who you are is validation enough. You're waiting for that, but those are words. Those aren't actions. Somebody can say sorry to you 100 times a day. That doesn't mean anything. And again, I mean, I kept a relationship with my dad because, I mean, it wasn't all bad. And that's not from a trauma response. It wasn't like I made excuses for him. He had a lot of mental stuff. I mean, clearly, right? But we didn't have all bad times. Like, once I got out of the house and after the whole, he tried to choke me kind of thing at like 19, you know, it's like, it became more, I don't know, like, hey, how are you? And I don't know, but that works for me. That may not work for you. But I need you to understand that I get what you're doing, because I did it for a while in my teenage, early 20s, where you think that you're doing yourself this big solid. Nobody's going to mess with you anymore. You break up with a guy, you hate all men. You break up with a girl, you hate all girls. Oh, nobody's ever going to screw me over again. So now you're bringing all of these old relationships into all of your new relationships. We're not going to do that. Because until you heal it, every relationship that you have is not going to be an authentic relationship. You're going to be making this person pay for something this person did. I'm going to talk to you about it in the next video, actually. We're talking about that in the next video. So if you like that, just stick around and you'll see it. But yeah, I mean, I think that that's the biggest part for you, is you need to let that part go of you that says, if I don't let this go, I'm winning, or I'm protecting myself. It's not a competition on who's right, who's wrong, and who's winning. How you actually win, if we're going to use the win word, is to release it so you can be free to see the opportunities, to see these things that are present for you, to allow healthy relationships to flow. That's fine. First, you got to let things go. You don't have to understand their why. That's your ego on every point. And before you go, well, but then I could understand them better. Again, you're not going to always like their why. So now you're going to be like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Are you going to say that? No, you're not going to say that. You're not going to say that. You'll still judge it. When you catch yourself judging, I don't judge people. I don't care how awful and bad it is. I know that they're on some different part of their life. They're on a different part of their journey, and I don't have to mess with them. There's no reason for me to even dedicate any time to judgment. Again, I think that's the Buddhist in me, though, to be fair. But, you know, I think for you, you've got to get clear in knowing that it's absolutely okay to lay the freaking sword down. You don't always have to be ready for battle. You don't always have to have your shield up. You know, keep your head on a swivel. Always keep your head on a swivel. That's fine. I like that. But I promise you, you're not carrying these people to bed with you anymore, to work with you, to the dinner functions. Like, you're not. So give yourself that time and that love and that compassion to let things go and accept things for as they are, not how you want them to be. And if it is a relationship that you feel is absolutely so strained that even an apology might be okay, but might not, then let it go. That relationship has ran its course. It can be hurtful. You sit with the grief. The bestie of 30 years, might be out the window. The husband of 27 years, might be out the window. The mom that you knew for the last 40 years and you keep trying to change her, might be out the window. You're going to have to be okay with that. Because until you are, all those scenarios that don't fit your best and highest good are living with you. They're like a wet blanket that follows you everywhere you go, like the little dirt cloud by Pigpen in Snoopy. So you want to watch the Ego Death series, learn to be okay with accepting things, and then release it. And not only does it protect your peace, it builds so much power back.